When you hear a story like this, why is Buck Showalter still the manager of this team? Why is Billy Eppler still a part of this organization? When you hear these stories, you haven't heard that with the Yankees. As bad as Aaron Boone has been this year as a manager, for all the Yankee fans to throw him under the bus, and I'm one of them, I think his time here is enough. I don't think the players are following his lead anymore. I don't care what Aaron Judge says. I don't care what Brian Cashman has said. What we see, the eye test tells me that he's lost the locker room. Buck Showalter has lost the locker room his first year. This team cannot deal with an abrupt, old manager who honestly had the talent to take this team back-to-back years to the playoffs and hasn't, have been under 500 with the talent that they've had on this roster. And Tommy Pham, I don't think Tommy Pham should speak, because even when he was there, what was his numbers? Was he batting over 300? Did he have over 15, 20 home runs when he was traded this trade deadline? He wasn't. He didn't hit 300. He didn't hit 20 home runs. He shouldn't be speaking. This guy has never stayed healthy in his whole career. I remember when he was a great player on St. Louis. Yep. The guy couldn't stay healthy. He could never stay healthy. Now he's opening his mouth and throwing the Mets under the bus and the work ethic and this and that. He's telling Francisco Lindor. If I was Francisco Lindor, I would tell Tommy Pham to shut the hell up. Because Francisco Lindor is on this team, on this roster, and he's one of the captains of this team. I wouldn't like to hear a former player open his big fat mouth.
You also look at some of the places that Pham has played. You could definitely compare the Mets, we talk about team culture, to some of the other teams he played for. Like you said, St. Louis. At that time when Pham was there, I don't know if they made the playoffs every year, but they were always pretty stable run team. There wasn't a lot of big issues. A lot of the issues that the Cardinals have had started kind of after he left. Then he goes to Tampa, and they're a very well-oiled machine. But then the Padres. He had a couple rough stretches with the Padres, and he was not one of their better players, so they traded him and obviously have spent more money. But now we're hearing Juan Soto complain about the lack of effort from a lot of these guys this season too, which definitely shows that it's kind of lingering in that kind of workplace culture type thing, team culture type thing. We've heard that with the White Sox. We're supposed to have high expectations again this year. The Padres and the Mets. Those three teams have all fit in the same boat too. And I'm also reading too that Tommy Pham kind of wanted second batting practices, which Buck Showalter didn't want him to have, kind of separating some of the younger guys to have them train, get extra reps, and Buck Showalter didn't want it from there. And he named the three names, Alonso, Nimmo, and Lindor, as those three guys that had good work ethics. But who are these guys that are they really questioning? I don't think it's McNeil. I think McNeil was saying some good things about how he preps for games. Is there other veterans that could be vulnerable to the direction of this team too? They traded 7 of them already, but are there more that are going to be bad stems if David Stearns takes over this team and says, we're going to have to move you guys now and create a new culture for this team? Because as much money as they have, the Mets, and how much as they've spent, there's definitely still a stench with a lot of these players on the way out that Max Scherzer's complained about, Jacob deGrom has complained about now, and now Tommy Pham with Lindor too, who's still going to be there for a while, has complained about with this team, and it's not a good sign if you want players to go there.
It's never been a good sign for the New York Mets ever since they brought Billy Eppler in. They brought Billy Eppler in a couple of years ago. They bring in another guy, an executive that got drunk and got in trouble, lost his job. This has been a big problem for the New York Mets, and you think that when Uncle Stevie took over this team, one of the richest guys in the world in professional sports, you would think that he would change the aftermath of the Wilpon story. It's been a little bit better, but how much better has it been?
Mickey Callaway, everything that he did, all the perverted stuff he was doing with the reporters too, and GMs getting drunk. They had to go 2 GMs in 1 year. All this dysfunction that the Mets had, even at the start of Cohen's existence, make Brody Van Wagenen actually look more stable, believe it or not.
That's not saying much.
As weird as that sounds with the Mets. And yeah, they're going to have to find something that is going to just be a more, not as dramatic approach to this kind of thing, because yeah, you're going to have some big contracts you're still going to have to work with. They traded Scherzer and Verlander, obviously, but you still got Lindor. You have to pay Pete Alonso, who, as much as people don't want to say he's a leader, he's been absolutely a leader, especially for those homegrown Mets teams, these homegrown position players especially, that you're going to have to stay with. McNeil got paid, Nimmo got paid. Nimmo's had a good year, McNeil's had a down year for his standards, but you're going to be with them for the long haul. Those are the guys Alonso likes, so you're going to have to pay him too. You're going to have to rebuild guys with good culture guys, especially these young pitchers that hopefully David Stearns could try to bring to the organization, whether it's homegrown or through trades.